Hello and welcome to the Team 9 presentation on privacy and security of electronic health records. My name is Caroline and I will be introducing you to what electronic health records, also known as EHRs, are and why they need security. Miriam and Wania will speak on the topic of potential threats to the security of EHRs. Mackenzie will cover the topic of jurisdictions and guidelines, and Casey will speak on the topic of security safeguards. An electronic health record, also known as an EHR, is an electronic lifetime record of your health history. Information an EHR contains includes a patient's medical history, diagnosis, allergies, and laboratory test results, to name a few. The implementation of EHRs has benefited clinicians and patients alike. EHRs can be rapidly exchanged between other electronic health record-keeping systems, resulting in more coordinated care, fewer duplicate tests, fewer adverse drug events, and faster and more accurate treatment decisions. During the COVID-19 pandemic, mobile device data linked to EHRs have provided an alternative to traditional contact tracing. Test results a user enters into the app is linked with the EHR of health systems, triggering an alert in the system when an individual tests positive for COVID-19. Overall, EHRs have enabled all the information needed for patient care to be readily accessible at the point of care. Patients have access to their own EHRs through patient portals and can read, print, and send their health information to providers, empowering them to be their own advocate. Privacy is considered a fundamental right in Canada. Therefore, personal information, including health information, must be protected by governments and companies. In Canada, the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, also known as PIPEDA, is a federal privacy law for private sector organizations that applies to all personal data, including health data. Each province may have its own rules and regulations regarding privacy, as long as they are similar to PIPEDA. EHRs make protecting personal health information easier and improve accountability with audit trails and security that detail who has accessed the medical records and when, and what the individual did while accessing each record. EHRs also keep information safe from anyone who does not have permission to see the patient data. But because EHRs are so accessible, they are a major target for those looking to exploit the information they contain, and their vulnerability is heightened by the use of an increasing variety of technologies used to access them. In Canada, privacy concerns have caused patients to withhold information from their healthcare providers, seek care outside the community, or even postpone care. These privacy concerns prevent patients from receiving the best possible care. Information a patient provides to a healthcare provider impacts the care that they receive, so it is important to have trust between the patient and the healthcare provider, which enables the free flow of information. Including privacy as a major part of patient treatment and care will help healthcare providers build trust with patients and improve overall care and outcomes.
In this section, we will be talking about the potential risks of electronic health records, specifically covering the concerns related to privacy and security. Before we get started with the concerns, I'll start by defining what privacy and security mean. Though it may seem as both have similar meanings, privacy refers to the personal information collected about a patient, while security refers to creating guidelines and allowing only certain types of people to obtain and view that information. Understanding this, it can be seen that if issues arise with either privacy or security, it can cause detrimental problems and risks. One main concern includes the transferring of electronic health records, which have raised the issue of data and privacy breaches. Recent statistics show that only 39% of people feel that their health records are secure in an electronic format. This means that more than half of people feel as if their health records are not secure through this way. One main reason for this is because of records transferring through the internet. Many have created the belief that the exchange of electronic health records can worsen privacy. Due to this fear, the privacy and security of transferring electronic health records remains a common concern. As mentioned earlier, issues with privacy and security can lead to risks that ultimately compromise electronic health records. Attackers have found ways to get a hold of electronic health records, asking for payments in return or threatening to sell the information, all of these which are major privacy and security risks. For these attackers, the COVID-19 pandemic allowed them to take advantage of the situation, causing a rise in even more concerns. An increase in data breaches and cyber attacks were observed during the pandemic, which demonstrates the overall rise in concerns. Not only are patients concerned with the privacy and security of electronic health records, but so are nurses. Research that was conducted in 2020 demonstrated some of these concerns, which included consent, improper access by non medical staff, system failures, as well as administrative security. While nurses have shown concern with information being disclosed without proper consent, this potential risk can be solved with techniques such as requiring digital signatures or using passwords. This outlines a few of the concerns that people have in terms of privacy and security of electronic health records.
How to mitigate risk for electronic health records. So, electronic health systems has reduced the use of papers and files, which is good, but there's just so many risks surrounding the whole use of electronic health records. And to improve these systems and to reduce all these risks, there must be solutions. So there's number one, there's improving the education of healthcare professionals surrounding electronic health record use. So usually patient safety risk can be made more likely by the whole setup of the EHR system and how it was designed, but human error is usually more common. So all these companies that are providing health records to these healthcare facilities should create a resource that allows the healthcare professionals to get a fundamental grasp of how to use and to boost the understanding of EHR technology. Health IT developers should also help improving the system because most of the time, healthcare professionals are responsible for all the errors regarding the EHR systems, but health IT developers can help reduce the number of risks that occur surrounding the whole use of electronic health records. So they should create systems where patients' information are locked, as well as creating several different levels of access where not every single employee in the healthcare facility has access to certain information. Encrypting data. This would also help because it means that it will convert all the data to this unreadable form and can only convert the data back to a normal setting if you have a decryption key. Health IT developers should also create new softwares where each new software has security protocols and for detecting and reducing possible threats and attack, and that can immediately shut down systems in case of a cyber attack. Um, they should also limit shortcuts built in the EHR systems because as much as we all love the copy and paste methods, these shortcuts that have been built in the EHR systems actually have been a way to reduce the amount of work and time that the health professionals use, but these shortcuts can potentially create danger to a patient's safety. So the majority of the time, all these people are using the copy and paste method to enter majority of the data into healthcare records, and continuously doing this and copying and pasting increases many risks such as inaccurate and outdated information. So IT developers should create a way to limit the amount of copy and paste info being put in electronic health records. And yeah, these are just some great ways to prevent errors and data breaches in healthcare settings.
Legislation in Ontario that protects personal health information, including health information that is stored in an electronic format, is through the Personal Health Information Protection Act, also known as PHIPA. PHIPA applies specifically to the collection, use, and disclosure of personal health information between patients and health information custodians. Originally introduced in December of the year 2000, PHIPA intended to improve the confidentiality, privacy, and security of the personal health information of Ontario residents. One of the main goals at the time was to improve the quality of care through the implementation of smart systems, in which the aim was to modernize the healthcare system. However, the shift to electronic health records in Canada has been considerably timely, with varying rates of adoption throughout the provinces and territories. The figure on the right shows the varying rates of EMR or EHR adoption throughout Canadian provinces between 2012 to 2013. Alberta, the province with the relatively highest rate of EHR adoption, has a similar legislation to that of Ontario, but theirs is known as the Health Information Act. While the main principles of both acts are quite similar, the Health Information Act, or HIA, amended the Act in 2018 to contain more comprehensive regulations regarding electronic health records. The HIA includes regulations regarding logging capacity or maintenance logs for accessing information. This refers to the logging process of user identifiable information, such as the name and job of the user performing the access, the time and date the access was performed, as well as the purpose of the access and any alterations made. The HIA amendment also contains information regarding the maintenance of auditing logs. Under new legislation of PHIPAA, personal health information held within an electronic health records are to be treated like any other personal health information. This proposed amendment allows Ontario Health to respond to requests for access to PHI, personal health information, as if it were a health information custodian. Some of the regulations proposed were establishing the permitted use and transfer of electronic health information, and establishing the extent of the data that can be made available for individual usage through electronic health records, along with requiring public hospitals to properly contribute requested personal health information from Ontario Health into an electronic health record. This amendment was approved on April 20th of 2022, and the digital access of personal health information for patient use is expected to come into full effect by late September of 2023. The last legislation I'd like to touch up on is the Personal Health Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, also known as PIPEDA. Unlike PHIPAA, PIPEDA deals with more information in a digitized format. Furthermore, the disclosure, use, and collection of PHI occurs at the level of organizations and businesses, rather than that of the health information custodian. PIPEDA generally applies to federally regulated organizations that use personal information for commercial use, as well as any foreign businesses that are based in Canada, regardless of a province or territory they reside in. Regardless, all businesses and organizations must comply with the 10 Fair Information Principles as set out in Schedule 1 of PIPEDA. These principles include accountability, identifying purposes, consent, limiting collection, limiting use, disclosure, retention, accuracy, safeguards, openness, individual access, and challenging compliance. Some basic regulations that exist under PIPEDA in relation to electronic health information include breach of security safeguards, along with the secure electronic signature regulations. Lastly, it is important to note that not all provinces use PIPEDA. In the case where a province has a similar legislation regarding the disclosure, use, and collection of personal information, the provincial law is typically favored. This is the case in provinces such as Alberta, British Columbia, and Quebec, in which case each province has their own provincial privacy laws.
Now that we've learned about the legislation of electronic health record security, let's take a closer look at the required safeguards. So what are safeguards? Safeguards are precautionary measures taken to increase the security of confidential electronic personal health information by limiting data accessibility to only verified and authorized personnel. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act established a three-tier model for safeguard guidelines. This approach separates potential security risks into three categories of access: physical access, technical access, and administrative access. Physical safeguards limit the physical access to personal health information systems. These are physical barriers such as door locks, alarm systems, access key cards, computer and monitor privacy filters, as well as workstation use policies. This is the first layer of safeguard protection by ensuring only verified users have access to sensitive information and restricting unauthorized access. Technical safeguards are the second layer of defense. These safeguards are digital barriers of computer hardware, software, and other technologies that have potential access to electronic personal health information. This category includes software passwords, user IDs or accounts, data alteration or destruction passwords, and continuous software audits to monitor software activity. This layer ensures that even if a physical safeguard fails, patient personal health information is still secure. Administrative safeguards are the last layer of protection. Typically, these take the form of policies, practices, and procedures to regularly check for vulnerabilities so that we can continually improve security. These safeguards manage personal health information access by training staff members on policies and procedures, identifying and analyzing security risks, as well as creating contingency plans in the event of emergencies. This final layer acts to get ahead of potential threats and take precautionary actions to prevent vulnerabilities and keep your information safe. Thank you for listening to our presentation on privacy and security in electronic health records. We hope you now have a better understanding of what electronic health record security is and why we need security to battle against potential threats, errors, and risks involved in electronic health record keeping, as well as the legislation that guides electronic health records and the safeguards in place to ensure the security of personal health information. If you would like to learn more about electronic health record security, please refer to our following references. Thank you.